So we're going to start out by making the Nokcham, which is just a dressing that we dip our Vietnamese crepe into. And so it has an element of saltiness from the fish sauce, so it's going to be 1 tablespoon or 15 mils of a fermented fish sauce. Make sure it's decent quality, and just be careful if you never used fish sauce before. It's very salty. I would say saltier than soy sauce, and it doesn't have the same flavor profile as soy sauce. It's a little bit more fishy and briny and fermented tasting. And like I said, it's quite salty, so I did dilute it a bit with a 1/4 cup or 60 mils of just some fresh water. And then also for that sourness, that sour element to our Nokcham, I'm using a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons or 60 mils of a seasoned rice vinegar. Just make sure it's seasoned, which means it has a little bit of salt and sugar added to it. And then also for a little bit of brightness and sourness, 2 tablespoons or basically half a lemon or a lime. I think if it's a lime, it'd probably be like closer to 2 limes because they don't get as much juice. So, and like I said, it's a little bit sweet as well, this dressing. So I'm adding a 1/4 cup or 50 grams of granulated white sugar straight in. And then, this is optional if you like spice. I did add some chili flakes, or definitely if you have some fresh chilies on hand, make sure to slice that up and add that in. Some people also like to add garlic to their Nokcham, but it's up to you. Then just go ahead and stir it around. It's going to be a little bit grainy initially from the little granules of sugar, but eventually the acids from the lemon juice and the vinegar help to break it down, and you'll have a nice clear salad dressing on your hand. It's delicious. So now I'm just moving on to the Vietnamese crepe or the Banh Xeo batter. So I'm just taking half a cup or 80 grams of plain rice flour. Make sure it's plain rice flour and not the glutinous rice flour that you make mochi with. Then to that you want to add 24 grams or 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I do like to add a bit of wheat flour just because it helps our crepe brown up a little bit better. And along with that you want 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of granulated white sugar, and half a teaspoon, 2 grams of coarse salt, along with half a teaspoon, half a gram of ground turmeric. And that turmeric just makes your crepe nice and bright and vibrant yellow, which I love, and it's delicious and healthy for you. Then to that you want to add 1/3 of a cup, 80 mils of coconut milk. It could be low fat or full fat, doesn't really matter. Along with 2/3 of a cup, 160 mils of fresh water, and just whisk it until it's completely smooth. So once it's all whisked and smooth, unlike a French crepe batter, you don't have to let this rest. All you need to do is just pour it into some sort of vessel where you can pour it out of. I do like to use a pitcher that I used earlier for my coconut milk and water. Then I can just pour the batter straight into my pan. So speaking of pan, you need a nice wide skillet, at least 14 inches wide. Then your crepe can be nice and thin as you cook it. So before I cook my crepe, I do want to add that Banh Xeo normally is stuffed with some shrimp and pork. I didn't have any pork today, so I just ended up using shrimp, about half a pound or so, just give or take, depending on how much you like. So go ahead and cook your shrimp over medium-high heat and just season it with salt and pepper to taste. And just cook it until it's mostly cooked through. I would say like 90% cooked through. And shrimp doesn't take very long to cook, so I would say less than 2 minutes to cook over medium-high heat. Just toss it around periodically, and then once it's done, you want to go ahead and just pour it into a small bowl, set it aside for later. So then in that same skillet, you just want to add a little bit more oil. I added a couple tablespoons, but to be honest with you, it was quite a bit of oil. So after experience with making so many Vietnamese crepes, I realized you don't need that much oil. So I just wiped out any excess there. And then once your pan is nice and screaming hot, you want to add your batter straight in, and try your best as you're pouring your batter to rotate the pan so therefore your crepe is nice and thin throughout. And you want to make sure also, in order to get a nice crispy Vietnamese crepe or Banh Xeo, you have to make sure your heat is on high. So then just cook it, and at this point I actually forgot earlier to add some scallions, so I'm just tossing it on now. Just, I don't know how much scallions that is. That's probably a couple tablespoons of scallions. But you can actually whisk it into your batter as well if you prefer. And of course we can't forget our shrimp. So at this point my crepe is mostly cooked through. It's nice and dry on top. and I'm just adding the shrimp in so that way it heats up and cooks all the way through. And of course, it would not be a Vietnamese crepe or a Banh Xeo without some fresh bean sprouts for that element of crunchiness and freshness. So after about 5 minutes or so, just depending on your heats and all that, I did lower my heat a bit to medium. And the crepe is mostly cooked through at this point. It's dry on top and it should be nice and golden brown as well underneath. And then once it's all done, go ahead and just plate it up alongside a whole bunch of fresh herbs, especially mint and cilantro. Like mint is crucial for Banh Xeo, so make sure to have that along with some fresh lettuce. I'm just using some red leaf romaine lettuce here. And the way that the Banh Xeo is normally eaten is that you roll it up in the lettuce leaf along with all those fresh herbs. This has to be one of my all-time favorite Vietnamese dishes, along with pho, of course, but I just love the brightness from the mint and the cilantro, the fresh crunchiness from the lettuce and the bean sprouts, and of course you can't forget that delicious Nokcham, or the salad dressing, that's a little bit salty, sweet, and tart, and when you combine it all in your mouth, it just makes the perfect bite. So make sure to give it a try. Let me know in the comments below what you think, as well as subscribe for new videos every Friday. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video, as well as smash that like button. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye.